On the show today, we have an award-winning on-air talent, entertainment journalist, content creator, and podcaster. She is a contributor on The Today Show, and she has a nationally syndicated Urban One radio show and podcast, More Than That, with Gia Peppers. Please welcome Gia Peppers to the show. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
We are so excited. Yes, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm just going to get right into it because there's so much that you do. But before we get into that part, I want to go back and talk about little Gia, where you grew up, so people can kind of get to know you from that side of things.
Absolutely. So I'm from Washington, D.C., born in D.C., raised in D.C. for the first years of my life, and then we moved out to Maryland. So I always say D.C. and Maryland or the DMV because I think it's really important for just little girls from that area to know just how big the world is, and sometimes it could just seem so small, you know, but and how far they can go in their careers. But yeah, so growing up, I loved pop culture, Black culture, singing, dancing, all the things. My mom would say that like I was a child that just wouldn't sleep. So she would stay up with me and we would watch the Arsenio Hall show every night. And before I, some of my first words, of course, mama, dada, but they were also woo, 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 woo. So it was just one of those things where I think I grew up loving and admiring the greatness and the just natural swagger and charisma and dope energy of Black people, even from the time I was a child to now, or an infant to now. And so when I was growing up, I fell in love with music and singing and dancing and acting, but I was also told that when my mom would put me in timeout, like she could never leave me there because she would open the door and I would be hosting talk shows with my animals and my Barbies. Right. And I'm just like, okay, like it's just such a wild, when you look back at your life, it's just so wild to see how many things are always leading you to one of the things you're supposed to do in life. And so my dad's a journalist, and I got that reporting bug. Honest, I saw in real time how important it is that Black people tell our stories at every facet, from entertainment to news to just having someone in the gap on these big corporations as well. And so when I was like 2 months old, my dad brought me into the newsroom because he was so excited to show off his baby, his first child, to his coworkers. And we got back home, and my dad is the type of dad that has the big video camera in the 90s, filming everything on his shoulder. And he's retelling the day to my mom. And he says, yep, just took Gia into the newsroom, and she told everyone she's going to become a broadcaster or a broadcast journalist. And so I found that video early. And I found that video 30 years. I had seen it my whole life, but when you like listen to a song and you finally get it, like I had seen that video my whole life, and I needed to see that video again in a moment where I was just feeling like nothing was happening for me. It was right around my 30th birthday, and I found that video, and I just like started bawling because I'm like, all right, Lord, this is so much bigger than anything that I could ever do, because you literally have had this plan for me since I was a 2 months old. Right. And my dad didn't know, my dad is very spiritual and faith-based now. I don't know if at that time, he was really, figuring it out, but he was just kind of joking and saying it, just making conversation with my mom. And then it ended up coming true. And so, growing up, I also danced, sung, and acted anytime I could. Went to Life, on Howard University's campus. I say Life because like I literally grew up on that campus. My mother is an alum and now a professor. My sister's an alum. And when you grow up in DC, you either do camp there every other summer, or you go to pre-college courses, right? Or I'm 32. I have been to 27 homecomings. So like, at some point, you are
Yes.
Howard.
You are
feel me?
Howard.
Yes.
But I did attend college at Rutgers University because that's another reason why I was like, I just know this campus like the back of my hand. Like it was just too familiar and I wanted to be closer to New York. But yeah, so growing up was incredible. My mom and dad were super loving, but also super disciplinarians on like just making sure we were focused. And I'm the oldest of three. And I love my brother and sister. They're also incredible human beings. And so, yeah, it's just, that was my upbringing. The DMV also was perfect for me because Black excellence was not foreign to me, and neither was Black struggle. So it was just such a beautiful time to grow up in that area when it was actually Chocolate City. We don't talk about it.
Chocolate City.
Whole nother podcast.
Yes.
Gentrification. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of like my upbringing.
Yeah. Now, your dad was on-air talent as well?
So my dad started, before he moved to DC, he's from the Rhode Island area. So he was doing he was doing actual news reporting when he was there, but when he moved and started working for NPR, he did do like some on mic reporting, but then he became more behind the scenes as a executive producer of things like Morning Edition and all those super dope shows.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I know you talk about, or I was listening to a podcast where it may have been a YouTube show where you talk about people just watching you all the time, like whether it was your younger siblings or other people in the media realm, like you knowing that you have been watched. Has that pressure, I guess, ever gotten to you or taken a toll on you of like, okay, well, all these people are watching me. I'm in front of the camera or behind the mic. I have to perform well.
Yeah, I think that pressure, it only really harms me when it's on social media. Everything else I'm fine with. Social media is just not my natural area. Like I'm so much more dope in person. I have no idea how to sell myself to y'all. Like I don't know, but it's a love-hate relationship because you also can find new community there. You can meet people who have opportunities for you there. So you just kind of have to figure out what you want to bring to social instead of like, especially at this point, every algorithm is different. 9 times out of 10, you spend hours making content and then 2 people like it. And you like, I spent hours and nobody saw this. So it's definitely the most like, I would say harmful on my like psyche with social media because, it's just one of those places where naturally it started out, I think, with good intention, but naturally it became a space where like you're scared to say the wrong thing. You're scared to be
it's so unforgiving.
And you're like, bro, but what about my track record of like being this person? And then I say the wrong thing and now I'm thrown away. So now I'm very like mindful of how I do not believe in cancel culture. I believe in accountability culture.
Yes.
I believe in forgiveness. If there are dangerous patterns of a person, I do believe in, deplatforming them. I definitely support when brands like move away from people who have been consistently harmful to others, hateful, just evil, right?
Yes.
If you're a person that said the wrong thing and you needed to learn, that's a whole different conversation. So I would definitely say I grew up with that pressure knowing people were watching me being the oldest. And so it is not necessarily scary like when it comes to like real world stuff. I'm used to that, but I would say that on social it's definitely a struggle. Like I'm learning now like what is my relationship with social media because unfortunately it is a part of the game. So you gotta play it.
It really is. I remember you talking about, I want to go back because I remember you talking about on your blog, you kind of went through who you are. But one of the things that I think about is how hard you've worked. And I remember you saying on there, you told your mom that you wanted to go into acting and, the entertainment side. And she was like, yeah, well, you can do that, but you're going to get that degree, right? And so I think about how hard you work and how hard you have worked. Like you said yes to pretty much everything, like all the stuff that you've done. I'm like, this girl did not sleep. But when I think about it now, all the people that are just hopping right into where you are, Like, how does that, have you seen the change, in the wave of what you've had to go through to get here versus now in 2020s?
Yeah, it's a weird time to give advice, because when people ask me like how I started, I'm like, girl, you don't even got to do that. Like you could just put on the TikTok and you'll be fine. You might be able to do the same thing. Like, I don't know what to tell you no more. But I still tell my story because I think it matters. It
does.
And I think there was people who worked really hard all the time, before us that made waves as well. I have learned to not turn down my hustle a little more. To be honest, I've been like, girl, now what you doing all this for now? If you don't want to do it, don't do it. You don't have to. Like, you'll be all right. But I've also, when it was the most frustrating is when I was graduating from college, because in 2012, that's when the industry started to actually pay attention to social media. And I was like, okay, no, y'all been telling me my whole life. I gotta go to school. Turn up.
Go network.
Intern. Hustle. I gotta hustle. And even though like a lot of things, so not everybody's gonna be a social media star. So there is still a pathway where you should intern. There is still a pathway where you should absolutely just hustle. Like most entertainment journalists, if you really look at their schedules, these people are working. If they work at, one of my friends, Angelique Jackson, works at Variety. When I tell you, baby girl be on every carpet, and then next morning her stories goes live, and like she's also writing articles, getting pitches, breaking news. Like when I think about people who are actually in it, no, you still have to know how to hustle. Now, will that change? Possibly. But it was more frustrating then. Now I learned how to play the game where people just make themselves look like they're doing more than they are. So you just play the game sometimes and call it a day. Yeah. But I definitely think that there's a world where it's a balance, because things are always changing as well, and you just never know what that next thing is going to be. You don't know what job you might have in 10 years. Who knows? Netflix didn't exist 15 years ago as big as it is now, and I'm sure there are people who were in the industry then that were like, I didn't even know what streamers were. Now there's just so much more opportunity. So it's a good and bad thing.
Yeah. And how do you narrow it? You said all these yeses you've done amazing things. How did you find your niche? Was it saying yes to all those things and then figuring out what you loved most and just saying goodbye to the others? Like, what was your path there?
Yeah, I definitely think my part of it is it takes a lot for people to want you to be a part of something, right? And so there are hundreds of thousands of journalists on Air Talent. When someone comes to you with an opportunity, it is really awesome because that means that they had you in mind. Now, I used to say yes to everything. I don't say yes to everything now. I know it looks like I still work really hard, and I do, but it's not for...
It's different.
Not to say yes to everything. But I did say yes to a lot early in my career because, one, there's no money in journalism until there's money in journalism. So
Yeah.
you got to do it. Also, you got to build the muscle. So like every time I said yes and I was hosting in front of 5 people to 15,000, it was so I could build the muscle now to where I could literally host in my sleep. I can, and I've done it on 1 hour of sleep, and killed it. So, you build the muscle of how to be so good at what you do that even when you aren't 100% on, you are 100% on.
That's good.
So, I learned that very early on. And so what I would do was I would pay attention to how my spirit felt. Did I feel undervalued here? Did I come here and people were treating me like the help instead of the person that is keeping your event up and lit and fun and keeping your things engaging? Did I feel like someone was beautiful and graceful and took care of me and took me seriously as a talent? And then you say, okay, I love working with these people. Let's keep them in mind. These people I'll never work with again. These people didn't have no green room for you. Like, no. These people made you get ready in a bathroom stall. No. These people had a whole car service for you that picked you up on time and flew you out and did like so you learn how to create standards for yourself based on what you do, but you have to do it. The only way you know is until you do it.
So those yeses helped you learn when to say no.
Exactly. And all the things that like I learned along the way on like, okay, what does my set bag look like? What do I definitely need on set? My eyes tend to water. So I always have to have, you know, an extra concealer and base and all the things to touch up my makeup because if the makeup artist isn't with me on set, I'm going to have to, you know, touch it up. I need lozenges. I need coffee. I need all these things. And now I have a writer because my management company sends that out. But usually I still bring my own little bag to set just because you never know what's going to happen, but you always know what you need to do.
Yes.
No one really thinks about like, people always put so much pressure on the talent and the people showing up, but no one knows how much goes into getting a talent there and how much a talent has to ignore to still show up 100%. So say, like the other day, someone put on Twitter, Tamar Braxton was like mean or something. I don't know at a show she did for Pride, and she went on Live Nation or Dish Nation and was like, "Yeah, first of all, I talked to hundreds of people, so I don't know what you saw. Second of all, I was in and out, like you know what I'm saying. But we don't know. Her car service could have been late. Her heel could have broke on the way. The producers could have been mean to her. They could have tried to play with her money. They could have put her in a stall in the bathroom where the regular public is getting ready, talking about be ready. But you still expect her to be beat, sound good, not have any feelings about anything that she went through, and then show you a good time. And then not only do that, take pictures, be nice to you, and she could be tired. Like, so I'm always like very, very graceful for talent, especially because for some reason people think that because you're on a stage and they're in an audience, your humanity is taken away. I can't stand that. I'm like, that is a human being. That Beyonce girl. Human being.
Yes.
Let's chill.
I agree.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. We talk about that all the time because like both our husbands played in the league. And when they go out and about, it could be family time. It could be date night for us. It could be whatever. Everybody, to your point, expect them to be on. And like to this day, my husband, we were in the pediatrician office because clearly we had a sick child. Somebody, he's carrying the sick child. Somebody comes up and asks for a picture and an autograph. And he's like, not right now, like very graceful to this person still to this day be like, well, he was so rude, he wouldn't even give me a picture. And, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let you have this one because you treat entertainment or people that are on air like they're your property and they're supposed to be an act every time you see them, and it's just not a fair situation.
Nobody talks about that part of the call.
That part.
This is not just a job. We can't clock out.
Yes.
If we're like, when I go home, I'm like some days, like, so Essence Fest is this weekend. I'm leaving tomorrow. I got to finish working with my stylist. I have a million things to do. The brand that I'm working with is great, but they gave me an all-in fee. So I'm like, all on my budget, like, okay, how much am I actually going to walk away from with this? Because I spend on travel, I spend on this, my management has to get paid, my stylist has to get paid. Like, it's always, no one thinks about this. No. So when I tell you next week, I got a massage lined up and I plan 2 days to do nothing. I will be door dashing. I will be sleeping.
That's right.
I will be doing nothing.
Good for
Maybe
you.
going on some walks. But like, at the end of the day, people don't realize we put our whole body into this. You get everything. And most of us don't know how to turn it off anymore because social media has become such a tool that now people feel like, oh, if you don't answer me, if you ain't posting, you ain't doing nothing. I refuse. I live life and I post when I can, and is what it is. But it's an interesting thing.
It really is. I was talking to my husband Nate about it, and to Tia's point of them being a player, and always feeling like every fan, you have to say yes, you have to take the picture, you have to sign the autograph. But now him being on TV, and he talks about people don't understand how exhausting being on TV is. You are always on. Everyone's eyes are on you. You can't have a down moment. You can't have a bad moment. And then when that break is not long enough because it's like you exhale and you're back in it. And it's just always, he's like, it's almost more exhausting than playing. You know, it's like you run this route, you catch the ball, you score a touchdown. Oh, okay, now I can go on the sideline and chill. He's like, when you're on, it's like you're on all the time. And when you're done, like having a moment to take a break and decompress, it is long. He's like, I can't just sit back for like 15 minutes and be like, all right, recharge. He's like, it's not like that anymore. It's exhausting. And so I thought about like, you know, all of the people in that industry in general. And if there was anything that you could say to people that they maybe don't think about, what would that be?
About just giving people grace?
Just about what they think it is, but how it really is for you. Because we know the good. We see you on the camera. We see, like you said, to your point, the makeup and the hair and the outfits. But the hard parts that no one ever sees and or talks about, what would that be for you?
Yeah, I would say it takes so much to learn that entertainment is a business. And not only are we people, but we are businesses. And so when someone makes a mistake or someone says the wrong thing, it's probably because they made 200 decisions for that whole day.
Yes.
Like, so what time? Okay, so my assistant has to be here at this time. Okay, so make sure my assistant knows this, this, and that. And then I have a call with this brand, and then I have a call with this brand, and then I have to edit this video, and then I have to go here, and then I have to get here. And then, well, let me make sure when I get there on time for this flight to check my bag, I check my bag on time because, you know, they'll let you got to rebook. I got to get there on time because I have an event tonight. And then when I get to the event tonight, I have to make sure that I eat something. So when I land, I got to make sure I put an Uber Eats order so I can be at my hotel when I get there. Oh, but make sure that check-in is easy. So I call and like no one knows you are always on. You are always going. So like your little social media comment, baby, I didn't see it. I really didn't see it. And then we have whole families and lives. I be trying to keep up with my best friends and my mama and my sisters and my I'll be like, can y'all just come with me? Because I can't. Just come with me. Just come with me. Let's catch up at when I got an hour. Like, so, you know, I definitely right now at 32 am, you know, really contemplating on how I am going to create more space for my personal life, because I want kids. I grew up in a 2-parent household. My parents are still together, and like, you know, they don't have no grandchildren yet. And I'm like, dang, I really want to get married. I want to have my mom and dad at the wedding. I want to have children. I want to begin a life that is not just based on my career, because one thing that you know is this industry changes.
Here today,
so you did all that. Who cares? You did all that, and now what? Wait, you still sitting there alone.
Are you dating? Are you like what's
who got time for that? So I'm trying to get better.
That's another thing. That's what my girl. She's like, when women give so much of themselves, no matter what they're in, and she's like, I don't even have time to date. Because fools on here, they don't be talking about nothing.
I have to make time to date, and I have to be, and I also have to trust that like someone will see all of me. People just really go off that little 10% that you share of yourself online and think they know you and approach you as such. And it's like, I'm goofy. I'm a mess. I'm tired sometimes. I'm hilarious. I'm silly. I hate going to the gym. Like, I'm a whole person. I'm not just like a host that brings fun and joy. And even though it is a privilege to do what I do, I realize that the downside is that people think they know you, but then when you actually give them the chance to know you, they're surprised by the full version of you, that you're a person with like messiness and sadness and joy and the full thing, problems. So my prayer is that I find someone who wants to know me fully, and that he finds me, to be honest. I really don't need to be finding these dudes.
Just come knocking, girl. Just clink, 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 clink. Hey.
At least let me see you at the airport. I just do something, you know.
So I want to ask or get into you creating a brand, but because you brought up the family thing. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw it either, Toya, but Issa had done an interview, what was it, with 2 Chainz or something, where she, maybe it wasn't 2 Chainz, but y'all,
I think it was with 2 Chainz, with the halo, with his son, the cutest podcast ever. Mm-hmm. Everyone should watch that podcast.
It is so cute. But where she just talked about basically her being afraid to have kids because she doesn't want to slow down just in terms of her career. And there was this big discussion about, do women really have to slow down or put things on pause or whatever the case may be when it's time to start a family? What are your thoughts there?
I get it. It's a reality because like I said before, we're not just a talent, we are the business. So unless we create a brand, which is why Issa is so smart in creating Hooray, and shout out to my friends Scotty and Sylvia, their show just got announced. So like creating things where like other people do it, so you don't have to be there 100% of the time is kind of the key. I get what she's saying and I understand it. I also know women who, that's why I'm so excited to move back to the DMV when I know my spirit is ready, because do you all know Angel Gregorio, the founder of the Spice Suite?
Of course, we had her on.
Oh, perfect. And then do you guys know Unique Jones Gibson, the creator of Because of Them We Can and Culture Tags?
Yes, I know of her.
Yes.
So those are 2 of my big sisters, and they have Unique has 3 children and Angel has 2. And they also have these thriving businesses, and Unique just launched a whole diaper brand focused on children of color. So it's the cutest thing ever. But I say all that to say, yes, I think I got to look it up. I'll let you know what it is. Happy Hues, the Happy Hues, I think it's called.
Oh, that's cute.
It's the cutest thing ever. Look that up. Y'all need to have her next. She's everything. However, I look at women, and then my mama. I look at women, like my mom just dragged us everywhere. Like I knew everything about the dental office, honey. I knew everything about Howard. I knew, like, because we were there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we were the assistants when her assistant couldn't come. Like it's like, you know, so I think that's a real thing. But I also know that like Issa has a production company that has houses that is a building. She can turn one of them offices into a play area for her kids, you know. But it does take those first few years when they're babies. It does take everything, right? So I know women who say like, I'm good, I'm chilling. So it doesn't scare me because I work so much anyway. It would be good for me to slow down. That's how I look at it. Yeah. I am ready to build a life where like I'm coming home and it's the same thing. Like I have an apartment in LA, I have an apartment in New York. I'm always in DC. So like I'm always traveling. And then now I'm about to be in NOLA, then Atlanta, then, you know, so it's like Miami. I just got back from ABFF. So I'm always moving. So I can slow down. I'll be fine. But, you know, hopefully my husband got good income so I could, you know, slow down for a little bit. And then I'm starting a product of my own soon too that I think will help. But it's definitely scary. I can see why she thinks that. And this entertainment business is very much get it while you're hot.
Yes, that's it.
So, right? Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you just skirted over saying that you was starting something. Can you not talk about it yet, or can
So I'm just I'm very big on faith and just creating, and my most consistent thing that I do is pray and show up for God and show up for my relationship with God. And that has been the fuel for my journey and my drive. And there are so many creatives that believe the same thing. And so I'm creating a space for creatives of faith, literally called Creatives of Faith. It's going to be a community and a devotional and hopefully turn into events and things like that. And so it's not out yet, but we are working on developing it. And so, yeah, that'll be probably subscription based, you know, community and
kind of thing.
Membership thing. And then I'm doing I'm creating more of my own like content that I'm now fleshing out as well, because it's just one of those things where I want to have more in-depth conversations where no one can like pull me back. Like I love more than that, and I love I have a station with Amazon Music called R&B Rotation, and I love hosting that. It's everything, but I still only get to like share some of the interviews that I do, and I'm like, nah, this interview was amazing. I need to share this whole thing. Now I'm like, all right, nah, we running it back. We doing what we do.
It's kind of like back in the day when you had the after hours, all the extra stuff that you didn't get to see. Like that's what you want to do. Talk about
so just more control over my space in this industry.
So, which I didn't even mention at the top of the show, but I first caught wind of this amazing woman, Gia, by way of Black Girls Pod, right? So I've been like, it's been really cool to see all of you guys is like just trajectory and like everybody's all the dope things that you've been doing. And Toya and I went to, it was at the Super Bowl in LA, the Essence Black Women in Sports kind of thing. And we didn't know that you were hosting, and we walked in, I'm like, there she is. Like, she's like, everybody's sister is hosting, right? Yeah. And just in general, when people speak about you throughout the industry, whether it's other interviews, literally like you're not in the room, people are still speaking so highly of you, like your brand, your reputation, like literally nothing negative to say, right? So when I think about people creating personal brands and just even establishing the longevity, it's like you have been an amazing blueprint. How would you say you've achieved that?
Studying other blueprints, for sure, like Debbie Allen, like Queen Latifah, like Brandy. For the first celebrity I was obsessed with was Brandy the Norwood. So I had the doll. I watched Cinderella every day. I still watch Cinderella. If I ever need a moment to just like be a happy, let the little girl in me out, I will be watching Brandy and Whitney the Houston sing my life away. But I studied people who were in it for the long haul, who didn't really care about trends, who didn't really care about making the thing that might be the number one trending topic, but making things that are excellent and making the people around them feel like they matter. And so my first ever internship was with Donnie Simpson in Washington, D.C.
Yes,
he was radio host there. He still is, but he was at this other station that before he was at the stations he's at now. And my whole life I grew up listening to him every single day on the radio, into school, into everything. And so I just remember, sitting there in the studios with him and watching him just be so joyful. And every single person that came in and out of the radio studio, whether it was the janitor who was taking out the trash from the night before, because, studios stay open 24 hours. So, there's always somebody coming in and out, cleaning something up. Or it was the mayor of the city at the time, or if it was Jill Scott who was stopping in town for her tour, everybody left feeling better than when they came in. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I can do that. I can give people things, and this is what I like. The other side of the industry that is real is like, that I want to work for Diddy, almost like, it's cutthroat. Yeah, it is. It is.
Big time.
It's painful and traumatic. Yes. You get more no's than you get yeses. You get people who don't know themselves. And so then that sometimes rubs off on you, and you have to like take a step back and be like, wait, that's not even my voice. I don't even know who believes that. You have to double down on your belief in yourself, even when other people don't see you or believe you or root for you in the same way that they do others. It's one of those things where it is always a mental exercise. That's why it's so exhausting. Yeah. We're always having to like create the wall, but also not have a wall, because vulnerability and authenticity is what is the connecting part to you and the people that love you and root for you. So it's this weird balance of always guarding your heart, but also being vulnerable to let people in, and like always showing that you're good, but also telling the people that like, yo, I'm struggling. Like, so you just have to, it's always
those
like
boundaries.
Yes.
That work for you.
Yeah. And you only know that when those boundaries get crossed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That is the truth.
You talked about him being so graceful and when you interned with him and how he was just always so graceful to everyone. What was it about him that I know you said that he had this joy, but is there like a moment that where you can give flowers and talk about something that he did that you'll never forget?
Oh man. So Donnie Simpson is a titan, and I'm still very like hard on people who want to be mentored by me, because I'm like, I still come from the school of thought that like, if you want to be in this business, you need to know the people who paved the way for you, whether it looks different or not. And Donnie Simpson was the first VJ to like take this thing to another level. Like before we had Arsenio, we had Donnie on Video Soul. I wasn't even old enough to watch Donnie, real talk. So like my mother was telling me, but I studied because I cared.
I'm old.
Yeah.
That's all right. Ain't no old. You was there.
I was there.
Thank you. Okay. So I remember him always just being like cool and kind and calm and collected, where other people were like freaking out and like, oh my God, you messed up that break. Whoever, if it was a producer, you messed up that break. Now we gotta go. And Donnie was like, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. And then he's the person that gave me my first ever time hosting on the radio and being anywhere. Like my first ever opportunity to break the mic was from Donnie Simpson. And it was the year that Real Housewives of Atlanta first came on. It might have been the second year. And Beyonce, Alicia Keys, and Missy Elliott were on tour. So
what a year.
He was so anti. Yes, the meme. I think it was the ladies' first tour or something like that. And Donnie was so not here for the Housewives. We remember everybody at first was like, "Oh my God, they're horrible for Black women.
Yeah, they're making us look bad.
Yes. They're an atrocity towards the name of excellence, like But the girls was also watching, so he was like, "Well, you can talk about it." How do you know? So he was like, "Well, people care about this. You talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta. You talk about it every week, and you let us know what concerts you went to." So I just had my first little segment, and that was it. That was it. My mom called me, was like, I heard you on it. Like, that was it. He gave me my first opportunity to break the mic. And and he was cool. You did a good job. This is great. Next time, maybe take it a little slower, but you sound great. You have it. Like, just kind. And literally one of the greatest people that you could ever meet.
Mentors matter. They sure do.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so I know we under a time crunch, but I want to play this quick game with you before we hop off here. It's the 2-minute drill.
All right.
Super easy, simple, this or that, whatever comes to mind first. It can be short answer too. Whatever comes to mind first. Okay, ready, Toya?
I'm ready.
All right, I got the clock.
All right. What impresses you?
Kindness, faith, people who act on their faith, and people who own their power. Sarah Jakes Roberts is always impressive to me. That's my friend. But I just be like, you are just, you own it, and I love you, and I just see you, sis, and I'm so proud of you. And she's just owning her power and her opportunity. And I know she's still a human, and she has feelings, but she just goes where God asks. And I just think that is so incredible, despite the world watching her whole life. There is something so impressive about a person who still follows the call despite all the things.
Absolutely. Okay. What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
Murder. Because it'd be weird. I'd be like, yo, what are we doing? Yo, that's not funny. Someone really died.
Right.
Mental.
Yeah. Did y'all heard that baby or the beam from this past week of the 14-year-old shooting the guy?
I heard about it.
That meme was like, he came. Look, the meme is he came in for burgers and left with wings. I said, you know what? I hate the internet.
It's one of those things where it's like, y'all, okay, but if something horrible happens to you and it trends, how you gonna feel reading that? Like that's where his mom or whoever, his family's still here. So like it's weird. And humanity.
Kids, the whole nine.
Humanity. People's right to be a human being and their respect, I don't play with.
Agreed. What should not be embarrassing, but usually is?
I can't talk. I have no idea how to talk to men, so it's so embarrassing. I don't know how to be like. I'm just never. I have no game.
Your game? You don't have no Mac game?
No game. None of that. So that's always embarrassing to me. Like, I was at a party with this actor that I think is so attractive last night, and I was like, I'm not going over there. I can't. I'm not going to embarrass myself. I'm not going over there. I'm not. So that's embarrassing to me.
That's cute.
Okay. Most famous person in your contact list?
It's got to be between Sarah Jakes and Coco Jones right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have like. I know a lot of people who have made people famous, like the industry people and the things like that. But I don't really. Yeah, like that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think of who. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, those are pretty.
No, I
good
love them
ladies.
both. That's my baby.
In the contact list. Yeah.
If you had to delete all but 3 apps from your phone, which ones would you keep?
The Bible app, YouVersion. You don't count like messaging and stuff, right? You mean like just like okay.
Yeah, no.
Gmail and probably TikTok.
Okay.
Fair.
TikTok
Fair.
is like raw.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. Would you rather be in a relationship that's passionate or stable?
Stable.
What has been your favorite age so far?
Wow. I would say dang, I turned 30 in the pandemic, so it was a tough year.
That don't count.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that was whack, bro. I think Remy Ma said, like, she don't count the pandemic years or the years she was locked up.
Right.
So I'm 30. Like, them last 2, I don't know. They don't really count. Like, I don't know. My favorite age so far, I'd probably say, like 18. That was a fun time. Graduating, living your best life, no bills, no anything.
They have bills.
You're old enough to do everything. You have no idea what's going on. You're just young enough to still get away with being dumb. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Okay. What word do you still have a hard time pronouncing?
What word do I still have? Oh, what word? Ooh. God, and it's one that I feel like I just said. Man. Well, there's one word that I do have a hard time pronouncing, but I can't remember it right now. But definitely Swarovski. Swarovski.
Yes.
Swarovski.
Crystals.
Like, it's very much,
It's
like an interesting word.
Yes. It is.
Look,
it's like, y'all just threw some words together, pretty much.
Look. Like, now I can spell it.
Hello.
I can't pronounce it, but I can spell it.
I can point it out.
What is the best non-curse word insult?
I love that for you.
Come to my. Oh, I love that
For you.
Ooh.
Legit.
Because I be taking that, like, what you mean? Like, what you trying to say? Like, people, I think people mean it with a...
What aren't you
I think
saying?
people mean it with like a... I'm sure half the people that say it really do mean that. Like, I love that for you. Oh my God, I love that for you. But sometimes be like, well, I love that for you. Like...
Yeah, it's all in the tone.
Like, huh?
It's all in the tone.
You know, just watch that tone.
Just look, it's all in the tone. Okay, last question. What is next for you?
Yeah, what is next for me is continuing, hosting Amazon Music, hosting on these different capacities that I have. More than that is coming out with a kind of a new version this fall. So I'm really excited about that. And making my life, making my life, my personal life, a priority. Falling in love, having kids, moving back to the DMV. Not that planes don't exist, so it's not like I'm not going to work, but just like creating a life that doesn't feel so led by work and more led by like my joy and being around the people that love me, whether I'm on a stage or not.
Well, you know what? Just like your daddy spoke it into existence when you were younger, you are speaking it into existence now. And we thank you so much for joining us. Now, if people want to get a hold of you, because you know there's men that listen too, they might be like,
look now, because you did say y'all husbands be in the look. If y'all husbands got some friends,
just say,
you know, that's like, you know, late 30s, you know, right at 40, call me.
So where, if they want to get a hold of you, where do they get a hold of you?
Gia Peppers on all socials, and you can and everything is there. So my website, giapeppers.com, but everything is at Gia Peppers on socials.
Yes, I'll be sure to put links in the show notes. But thanks so much for joining
me.
Yes, you are amazing, amazing, and keep going. You inspire so many people that you probably don't even know. Forget about the naysayers and social media. You inspire so many people, and that's what matters.
Thank you, Atoya.
Yes.
Thank you, Tia. Thank you both for having me. This has been such a cool conversation, and I'm excited. Hopefully, I can come back, you know, in a year or two when I'm launching my brands and stuff.
That's what I want. I would love. Just even it's just to see it and be a part of, like, just to watch you do what you do. I think it's beautiful. There's nothing like it. And it's amazing that you lead with your faith. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. So. Well, you all, thank you so much for having me.
Shout out to Gia Peppers for coming on and killing it. It was so inspirational.
Listen, and you know what? She low-key called me out, though, because she's like, when people see little snippets of her, whether it's in interviews or on social media, they feel like they know her. Because I've shows, but hey, girl, like we have met in person before, but no. Gia is so dope. If you guys have not checked out any of her work, you really should. Like I said, she's inspirational. She's been doing it the right way. And when you get done listening to her, you feel good, like joyous and rejuvenated. So,
and men, if you are single, you have it together, she gave you her information, pull up and do it the right way.
Listen. Hilarious.
All right. That was an amazing conversation. That is the show. Thank you for listening. And for the latest on the Inside Lines podcast, make sure to follow us at Inside Lines Podcast on both Instagram and Facebook.
And be sure to check us out online at InsideLinesPodcast.com. And look, we're gearing up for season 5. So if y'all have people you want on, topics you want covered, make sure you leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Inside Lines. Drop us a DM, a message, whatever, on any of the social media platforms.
Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you. Holla.